Welcome to all of you. We'll start off with a little video here. Hi, today we're going to be reading from chapter 11 of the Bhagavad Gita. And since some of you are new here, I'm going to go back a little bit just to give you a little background so that you know what we're talking about. The Bhagavad Gita is perhaps the most ancient book on spirituality that exists today. It was compiled along with the other Vedas around 5,000 years ago, that is 3000 BC. And the Vedas themselves existed for thousands of years before they were finally written down. They existed as an oral tradition. And I think most people from India know about them, but very few have actually read them. So the intention of this was not only to educate and bring this awareness to people here in the West, but also to people back in India who might be wanting to get in touch with their own roots and their own culture, or those who grew up out here and who might be from there. The Vedas have a great deal of information in there about everything to do with human life as well as spiritual life, how to live in this world and how to rise beyond this world. And I'm not going to go too much into detail there, but the summation of the writing of the Vedas were written, compiled by Vyasadeva. Towards the end of compiling all the Vedas, he comes into the Mahabharata, and part of the Mahabharata is the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita itself consists of 18 chapters. We've been reading these a little at a time all the way for the last year and a half or so. And we're up to the 11th chapter right now. And that's because we take up a few verses at a time, and then we dive deep into the inner, deeper meanings of those. There's also room for lots of discussion if you like. If you want to just listen, then you're most welcome to do that. If you want to be, active, you're welcome to ask questions. So now the background to where we are at this moment is that Arjun's been, this whole scene is happening in the midst of a battlefield. You'll see in the back there, I have a picture. Well, it's that way. No, it's that way. Whichever way I point. Okay, it's that way. There you go, there. Krishna is talking to his friend Arjun, and Krishna is the one standing up. That's a scene from what we're about to see today, what we're going to talk about today. So he's talking with his friend Arjun, and Arjun is asking him questions about the nature of life and the soul and God and all of that. The context is that there's a battle about to take place, and Arjun doesn't want to fight in that battle. He's a warrior, and he wants to just kind of defect from there. It's a fratricidal war, so between a family, and Arjun cannot stand the idea of fighting with his brothers and relatives and people he's grown up with, his gurus and teachers who are on the opposite side. So Arjun as a warrior is advocating nonviolence, and Krishna, on the other hand, is advocating that Arjun should take part in this Kurukshetra, this dharma yudh, which is a battle for establishing the principles of dharma. Dharma is often misunderstood. People think it means religion. It's actually much bigger than that. Religion usually has been some sort of formalized practice that we call religion, but dharma was meant to mean the original nature of a human being, of who we are. And the original nature of a thing has to be found at its deepest level, like the nature of fire is that it's hot. The nature of water is that it is wet. What is the nature of this being that we are? Who are we? And what is our actual true nature? So this is about discovering that nature And Krishna dives into that very deeply. Most of us are not given this education in our schools, in our colleges. We're not taught about who am I. We're taught about discovering, um, our hobbies, our interests, sports, things like that. We're taught about how to make a career, but we're not taught about how to discover our true self. Because our true self is a topic that is extremely vast. Psychology goes into it, looking at the personality and how the personality gets shaped from the moment we're born all the way up to our present time. The kind of ways in which we got affected by our environment, by our parents, by our teachers, friends, all of that, the things that happened to us and how they shaped us. But what did they shape? They shaped the personality. What has a personality? My mind has a particular egoic personality, which it has cultivated. It's an accumulation derived at over the years of my life. Then there is my body. Many people think this is who I am. I'm the body. But that's not true. I have a body. Right? So even this body is an accumulation of all that I have eaten, whether I exercised or didn't exercise, the way I took care of my health or didn't take care of my health, and whatever genetic structure might be within it. So the body, the mind are both an accumulation of something. I am the person that has a body and has a mind. Who am I? I have thoughts, I have feelings. Who am I? This is the subject of the Bhagavad Gita. And so as we don't repeat ourselves too deeply or too much, because I just want to give you a slight introduction for those of you that are new. Krishna begins by talking about the soul. And he talks about how the soul is never born and never dies. That's the first statement he makes. He says, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings who are assembled out here, and never will there be a time when we shall cease to be. He then goes on to talk about how the soul goes from one body to another and cannot be destroyed by any means, that we are in fact indestructible beings, and that death is actually an illusion. He goes on then after describing the soul and karma and different kinds of yoga and ways of understanding the soul, and then he comes on to describe who he is. And therein he describes that he is the origin of all material and spiritual worlds, that everything emanates from him. And this is a big, tall claim that he's making. He explains it in many different ways over almost 2 chapters of the Gita, chapter 7 and chapter 9 particularly. And in those he talks about how everything comes from him. He is in everyone's heart. He's not talking about some, commonly understood ideas like people have in today's time, that I'm God, you're God, we're all God. Not like that. He says, I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me alone comes knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So he's making some very tall claims. And Arjun, in this 11th chapter now, is going to challenge him. We've been waiting to get to this chapter, because in this chapter we're going to see that it's okay. It's okay to question. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to challenge. It's okay to want evidence, and it's okay to want proof. This is not a system of faith or of belief. It is a system of practical spirituality that can be tried, tested, and proven by each of us, not just by Arjun back then, but by each of us even now. But let's go into Arjun's experience, and then we'll learn from there, and then perhaps you'll have some questions. Arjuna Vacha Mad Anugraha Paramam Guhyam. So he says, Arjun says, I have heard your instructions on confidential spiritual matters, which you have kindly delivered unto me, and my illusion is now dispelled. This word Paramam Guhyam means great secret. This great secret that you have delivered to me, right, on confidential spiritual matters, my illusion is now dispelled. This is very important to understand, because true spirituality, and spirituality right now is going under many different guises. You have lots of people teaching lots of different things, from how to attract wealth to how to heal yourself. They think of all of these things as spirituality, law of attraction, or healing, or any number of things, how to be a better person. And these are aspects of spirituality, but they're not really spirituality. Spirituality is, if you look at the word, actually, I like to break this up: spirit, which is the soul; actuality, bringing the soul into actuality, taking that which is inside and bringing it out, making it real, living from your soul. What does that look like? What does it feel like? That's a topic we can definitely take up if you're interested. But right now, what Arjun is saying is, my illusion is now dispelled. And that is the symptom of spiritual awakening, that we wake up from the illusion of this world. We wake up from the illusion of thinking that I'm this body, I'm this mind, I'm my thoughts, I'm my feelings, or even that I am the life story that I've had, the things that have happened to me. Waking up from the illusion means realizing that none of this is real. So you might say, well, that's easy to say, but the world is painful and it hurts, and I got to work and I've got to make money and I got to survive. And you're absolutely right. And yet it is an illusion. Have you ever played virtual reality games? I've just been introduced to that world recently, so I've kind of been checking it out. And it's fascinating how real it can seem. And it's the same with this world. It seems so real that it hurts when you hit something. It hurts when you don't eat food. It hurts when you get sick. And it hurts when you have an accident. So that is the nature of how incredibly realistic this reality is. But if you ask yourself to examine any of this under an electron microscope, you'll discover what the scientists have discovered, that all of it is atoms and protons floating in space. That 99.9% of everything is space, is air. There's nothing here. Even the atoms and protons, which sometimes appear as particles, also appear as waves, and it's hard to decide which one it is. I'm not a physicist. Perhaps somebody will disprove me here, but that's pretty much what I've understood. The ancients referred to this as Maya, or illusion. They understood this principle without electron microscopes, and they therefore referred to this world as an illusion. They said that which is eternal is that which is real. Now, compare that to what Einstein said, that matter can neither be created nor destroyed, that energy is eternal. Actually, behind all matter is energy, and all energy is indestructible. The same principle is here, that which is eternal is that which is real. So energy is the thing that is real because it is eternal, it is indestructible. And that which is temporary, that is this world, including this body, including the things we have, is false or illusory or part of that virtual reality that we live in. So dispelling the illusion means becoming aware of this at a very deep level, really, really getting it. Like when you get it, then you realize, okay, I'm here living in this world, but it's not all about survival, and it's not all about but it's about learning how to play the game of life. And there is a bigger game at play. And there is a bigger intention behind this game. And I need to understand what that intention is. Just surviving, getting by, impressing people, looking good, acquiring wealth. Yeah, that's the normal game that people are playing. But there is a bigger game at play. Right? Does anyone here know what that bigger game is? What's the bigger game of life? Lalit? Any questions? Any thoughts? Enlightenment, yes. And what does that mean? Why enlightenment? What is the point of that? Jasmine writes in her truth or authentic self. Yes, you're right, Jasmine, to find the truth about your authentic self, about who you really are. Very true. And Rima says it's about enlightenment. That's also very true. And the two are actually the same thing. Right? Enlightenment is what you're describing, Rima, is when the illusion is dispelled. You're able to see things as they are, right? It's like you get your glasses back. Or as my friend once said, he said, when you fall, love is blind, and when you get married, you get your eyesight back. Something like that. Um, Enlightenment is like getting your eyesight back, right? It's like you lost your glasses, and suddenly when you find them, finally I can see properly. Gosh, I felt so lost without them. Yeah, so that's the intention of enlightenment. That's the intention of dispelling the illusion. So Arjun goes on now. He says, I have heard from you in detail about the appearance and disappearance of every living entity as realized through your inexhaustible glories. O greatest of all personalities, O supreme form, though I see here before me your actual position, I yet wish to see how you have entered into this cosmic manifestation. I want to see that form of yours. So he refers to him as Parameshwara. In the Sanskrit verse here, he says, Evam etat yathat tvam atmanam parameshwara. So you are Parameshwara, Param Ishwar. Ishwar refers to the idea of someone who controls something. All of us, in fact, have one thing we are all doing, and that is we are trying to control something or other. You will notice that everybody is trying to control something. You might be trying to control your world around you, make sure that you have food to eat and you have a place to stay, and you control your car, you control the way things go in your life and in your work. We're all trying to control something. Then we get married to someone or we get into a relationship with someone, and then the sad part is when we start trying to control them. That can be a huge disaster. And then we try to control people at work. And to some degree it works, and to some degree it doesn't, because people don't like to be controlled, right? Nobody likes to be controlled. So Krishna is being referred to here as the Parameshwara, the supreme controller. The supreme controller is not trying to control people. In fact, the one thing that you'll find is that all of us, every single one of us, has been given free will. Free will to do and be and experience anything and everything we want. There is karma, but there is no punishment per se. Karma could be punishment. Karma, because karma's not intention is not punishment. Karma's intention is just like it goes an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, right? You heard that. That is the what is that? The law, the code of Hammurabi, right? So karma is about that. It's about giving you an equal and opposite reaction for everything you do. It's not meant to punish you, it's meant to show you what it feels like to be the recipient of that which you did to others. So once you realize what it's like to do that to someone else, what it feels like to be at the receiving end of that. Let's say I hit someone, right? And now this person hits me back, right? Now I know what it feels like to be hit. But if nobody ever hit me back, I have no idea. I have no feedback. So karma is actually a feedback loop whereby you get to experience that which you put out there in the world. You do good deeds come back to you. You do harmful things to other people, those harmful things come back to you. And the intent is not at all to punish anyone. The intent is very clearly to get you to realize the impact of your actions, so that you may decide whether that is something you want to continue experiencing or you don't want to continue experiencing. Could continue, you will. Some people have asked me, well, Karma. I've seen this person who did this wrong thing to me, cheated me, left me, left me for broke, took away everything I had, and he's off there enjoying himself while I'm sitting here suffering. Where is your karma? I said, look, karma is not like that. Karma will come around when it comes around. It's like a seed. A seed has been planted. And some seeds, they spring very fast. Like I hit someone, they hit me right back. Some seeds are like that, right? I get an immediate reaction. I'm abusive to someone, they're abusive back to me, right? And some seeds, they take longer. And certain seeds of certain trees, I believe the mango tree, it takes 10 years or 12 years to fructify. Again, I may be wrong, but that's what I kind of heard somewhere. But there are seeds that take a long time and seeds that take a short time. That part I think is true. And so it is with karma. Some seeds of your karma will fructify in this life, and others will fructify in another life. So uh, there is justice in the world, but it's not like someone is sitting there counting everything, trying, like taking track of everything. It's all automated. You have to realize that none of this stuff is being manually written down. Some places they say someone's sitting on the right side, right shoulder, writing your, good and bad deeds, and the other shoulder is someone else. Some other people say there is a big book up there, and somebody's writing in that book. Please, we're living in ancient times. The universe, God is very, very technologically advanced, and everything is automated. There is nobody sitting there tinkering with the details of things. It's all been set up so that it works on its own. The machinery is designed to work on its own. God is not sitting around managing people's lives. Anyone who has that idea that God is a puppeteer managing our lives, you know how they say, why do bad things happen to good people? What are you thinking? God sitting there making things happen to good people or bad people? No. You've done your karma, you're getting your stuff, and why shouldn't things happen? If bad things happen to bad people, why shouldn't bad things happen to good people? Like, is there some exemption from the, I mean, you're not getting the point of being here. The point of being here is not for good things to happen to you. The point of being here is not that you should live in a palace and live beautifully and live happily ever after. That's a great selling thing for fairy tales. But that's not why this world was designed, for us to live happily ever after. Christ knew this, Buddha knew it, Krishna knew it, they've all talked about it. This is a land of suffering. Take it or leave it. All our attempts are attempts to try to control suffering. We put on the air conditioning for things to be cooler. We put on some woolen clothes to be warmer. We drive a car so we don't have to walk as much. All of it is for alleviating suffering. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Sure, do it. Don't make that your life purpose, though. Don't make that the whole goal of your life, because that's a wasted life then, in my opinion. Life is much more than that. Even if you think that your family and relationships, even that's a higher goal than just survival. And then beyond that comes having a purpose where you do something for the community and the world. And even above that is where you finally come in touch with yourself. Enlightenment, self-actualization, as Abraham Maslow called it. So, it's a very interesting journey, this life. Any questions so far? Uh-huh. Yeah, in what way do you mean? Now, how the heck did you figure that out? This is actually true. I have actually read this. They say that the heavenly there according to the Vedas there are higher planets and lower planets. Planets where there is more pleasure and more longer life and all of that, and planets where there is more suffering than we have on Earth and shorter lives and all of that. See, it's very interesting. Where they have more pleasure, the lives are longer. Where they have more suffering, the lives are shorter. So it's not about being in some hell forever, nor is it about being in heaven. There's places of more suffering. Like if you go to Africa, there's more suffering. And if you go to, let's say, the United States, it's less. And if you go to, say, Europe, it might be even less. Certain countries in Europe, they're supposed to be the happiest countries in the world and so on. So I don't know. But it's supposed to be less, right? Certain countries. So even in our planet, we have places that are more suffering and other places that are less. But Krishna says ultimately all of them are subject to birth, death, old age, and disease. Ultimately, everyone suffers. So in Kali Yuga, you're very right. The suffering is greater, right? It says even in this earth, there is the Satya Yuga, golden age, in which the suffering is much less. The wisdom is much higher. The, the spirituality is much greater. Then we come into the Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga. There's a gradual decrease. And now we're in the Kali Yuga. We think we've become very advanced, but according to the Vedas, we have become very degraded. Degraded in what? Just a very simple thing I'll share, I'll bring up. There's many things, but degraded, for example, certain things that we take for granted, right? We think that they are like normal. I'll bring up one word: selfishness, right? It's become a virtue today. Narcissism has become a virtue today. People who are, you know, who are grandiose and who present themselves like they're the greatest and the best and most amazing, people look up to them. This is a sign of Kali Yuga. This is the sign of degradation, and we don't even realize it. Greatness is humility. Greatness is recognizing that I'm nothing. Greatness is very different, right? Selflessness was always looked up to, and now it's looked down at. Oh. Self-love is what people talk about. Really? You want self-love? Do you even know the self? Do you know who you are first before you start talking about self-love? Because otherwise, if you don't know, if you don't have the roots clear, if you don't have your basis clear, you'll turn self-love into narcissism. I'm not saying self-love is wrong. It's very right. But you must have your foundation clear. Who am I? Once you've understood that, and in the context of the entire universe, who am I in the context of this universe? And where did I come from? Now begins self-love. Oh, it's a whole different experience. Same thing with law of attraction that everyone's into now. What is it? It's another get-rich-quick scheme, right? Law of attraction is just another get-rich-quick scheme. I don't know anyone who's getting rich, but there's a lot of people telling others to do so, and they're the ones getting rich, the ones who are teaching it. But there's a lot of charlatans in our time. There's a lot of people who teach all false philosophies. One of the aims of this program here has been to try to establish some foundation, linking together the past, the present, and preparing us for a future, hopefully, where we have a foundation of ancient wisdom on which to build modern day understandings of spirituality. But much of spirituality as I see it today in the West is just fanciful imagination with very little basis, very little foundation. So, foundation comes when you study the different scriptures of the world and you begin to understand the deeper wisdom behind them. Not just what they talk in churches, temples, or mosques, but rather those who have deep insight, who live this stuff, who actually have experienced God through those teachings. They're the ones who can actually give you a deeper insight. So, Arjun is one such person here. And he is wanting to see. He's saying, you are telling me all these things. I've heard that you have a transcendental form. I would like to see that. Now he's actually very subtly asking for evidence. He's not yet doing it, but he goes about it very politely, you'll see. He says, Arjun says, if you think that I am able to behold your cosmic form, like your real form, like you are the universe. Krishna, you're claiming to be the universe. You're claiming that everything rests on you as pearls are strung on a thread. That's what Krishna says. If that's the case, then how can I see this for real? Like, how can I get a real, is it possible for me to see this form of yours? Like, is there a way to know this? He says, if you think that I am able to behold your cosmic form, O my Lord, O Master of all mystic power, then kindly show me that universal self. Maya drishtumiti prabho yogeshwara. Yogeshwara means the Lord of the yogis, of all mystic power. So he says, you have the ability to do amazing things, so show me now. There are many people who've claimed to be Bhagavan. Our latest one was Bhagavan Sri Rajneesh, who claimed to be Bhagavan. The most popular one. It was Osho, but he also went around calling himself Bhagavan. He also said there was no God, but yet he called himself God, which is very interesting. Then you had Satya Sai Baba, who was also called God by many. And the evidence they could produce is that they would give for him being God is that he could produce a watch out of thin air, that ashes would fall from his picture. This was produced, given as the evidence for him being God. But these things are very trivial in comparison to what God actually means. It means that who is that which is the source of all creation, that from which everything emanates. If someone is going to claim that, he better be able to prove it. So that's really what's in front of us right now. Is Krishna going to be able to prove this? Because Arjun is putting him to the test. And will the proof be satisfactory? Right? I mean, our scientists claim there is no God. And when you ask them, how did this world come about? They say it came about with the Big Bang. Okay, interesting. Were you around to see this Big Bang? No, we weren't around. Could you replicate this Big Bang? No, we can't. Could you could you create some kind of a model of it and blast something, and out of that something will come life? No, we can't. Well, then what kind of science are you talking about? If you cannot prove your science, is it really science or is it just a hypothesis, a theory? According to that, I could claim any number of things happened. I could say that, I could make up any crazy theory I want, and I would say it's true because I'm a scientist. I've got a degree. I've got a PhD. So again, I view this kind of thinking as mythological. It's not based on any kind of evidence. Where it goes beyond mythology is it comes into something which is experiential or evidentiary in some way. There's two kinds of evidence. One is the evidence that Arjun is seeking, which is external. He wants to see Krishna's external form. The other, which is the one that is true for most of us, is internal. The evidence of what is taught in the Bhagavad Gita can be internally experienced by everyone. If you act on the teachings, you can experience for yourself, starting with meditation, starting with learning to quiet your mind, starting to develop your faith and your trust in what Krishna is teaching, and then act according to it. It's not faith for the sake of faith, because that would be a theory without an experiment or a conclusion, right? Faith alone is just the beginning. You say, okay, this is an interesting theory, let me test it. I test it and I see the outcome. Does it work? Does it not work? If it works, then I believe it. Sometimes to make it work, I might have to do a bunch of stuff. Like one of our participants here, dear friend Swati, is a researcher. And when they do research and they're testing in the lab, they have to do many experiments to tweak the experiment until it actually works. So similarly, when you do the experiment on yourself, you're going to have to work on yourself. I remember trying to meditate and failing for 10 years and then finally giving up. And then suddenly one day, a moment where it just clicked. And I discovered certain things that I had thought. I realized where my mistakes were, where my flaws were, and what I was doing wrong. And then suddenly it all fell into place. But it can be, the experiment can take many years, or it can take many days or many seconds. I don't know. It's up to each person to get the evidence of what is being taught here. Anyway, right now Arjun is asking for some big time evidence. Let's see what happens next. So he's asking to see Drishya Satyamanam Avyayam. Avyayam means eternal, and Drishya means to show. Atmanam means yourself. He says, show me your eternal self. He says, I'm seeing in front of me this person, Krishna, But I want to see beyond this. I want to see your eternal self. It's like me saying to you, I want to see your soul, right? And now if this person who's standing in front of me who claims he's God, he's the origin of everything, everything comes from him, and I say, all right, I want to see your real self. I want to see you really as you are, like the true thing. Krishna begins speaking, and it begins, wherever he speaks, it goes, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. I've explained this before, but for those of you that are new, Bhagavan refers to God, just like Osho called himself Bhagavan, right? Bhagavan means the person who is the possessor of all opulences, all bhagya, bhagyavan. That is the actual Sanskrit breakdown, bhagyavan, one who is the possessor of all opulences or all desirable things. So many scholars present this word by saying Krishna is the possessor of all knowledge, one who knows everything. There is nothing hidden from him. All knowledge, all wealth, everything is owned by him. All these planets, all these universes, you, me, all of us, we belong to him. All knowledge, all wealth, all fame. He is known everywhere. You might call him Allah, you might call him Buddha, you might call him Jehovah, you might call him Jesus, you might call him Guru Nanak. You may call him by whatever name you like, right? But we are talking, as long as we're talking about that which is the source of all creation, not a messenger, not a guru, not a teacher, we're talking about the source of creation, God, then we're talking about the same thing. There is no difference. So he's all famous. He's known everywhere. Even the ones who reject him are still talking about him. Even the atheist, you cannot reject something that does not exist. You cannot be an atheist, a non-theist, unless there was such a thing as theism in the first place. Otherwise, I cannot be a non-X, like X being something that doesn't exist, right? I can't be an AX, a non-X, about something that doesn't exist at all. Like if it doesn't exist, then where is the question of being a non, anyway, you know what I mean. So Shri, yeah, is all knowledge, all wealth, all fame, all beauty, all beauty. This is very important. Wherever you see beauty, you are seeing Krishna. All strength and all renunciation. Because at the same time as possessing everything, he's detached from everything. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Pashyame Partha Rupani Shatasho Ata Sahasrasha. So he says, my dear Arjun, behold now my opulences, hundreds of thousands of varied divine forms, multicolored like the sea. I'm going to show you some pictures that I've got ready for this to show you. I believe I'd kept them ready. Here we are. So the first one I'll show you is this. So that's Arjun on the left, that's Krishna standing over there, and this is an artist depiction. Clearly nobody was there at that time, so this is an artist depiction of what Krishna is showing him. His universal form, it's called. You know, we talk of God as the universe. Well, here he shows you his universal form. Then I will show you another one, which goes more graphic. Wait, how am I supposed to do this? Okay. And this is even more. He'll explain in here that so he's going to go into explaining what this is. I'm not going to try to explain it to you right now. I'll let him do the explaining, and then I will tell you more about other ways, that other times that he revealed this form to other people along the way. Behold now my opulences, hundreds of thousands of varied divine forms, multicolored like the sea. Were you able to see those images or not? Rima? You didn't see the pictures? Oh, okay. So sorry. I'm glad I asked. Okay, let me see if I can. All right, I have to open it. Then you can see it. Okay. So this is the actual scene. Arjun's on the left, Krishna's on the right, and he's showing behind him this gigantic universal form that stretches from the earth to the sky. And okay, what do I do next? All right, the next one is and I'm just going to have the visual first, and then I'll read the description. Once again, you see in the bottom right Krishna and Arjun sitting there, and now he's going to explain to you what in writing what this is all about. O best of the Bharatas, see here the different manifestations of Adityas, Rudras, and all the demigods. Behold the many things which no one has ever seen or heard before. Whatever you wish to see can be seen all at once in this body. This universal form can show you all that you now desire, as well as whatever you may desire in the future. Everything is here completely. So we've heard the saying about how past, present, and future exist simultaneously. Krishna is right now alluding to that all that you desire, as well as whatever you may desire in the future, everything is here completely. But you cannot see me with your present eyes. Therefore, I give to you divine eyes by which you may behold my mystic opulence. The word used here is swachakshusha. You cannot see with your own eyes. Therefore, I give you divyam, divine vision. With the divyam dadami te chakshu. I give you divine eyes. Yog Aishwaram, to behold my inconceivable mystic power. So, in other words, these eyes are only capable of seeing certain frequencies. They're not capable of seeing beyond those frequencies. Therefore, Krishna has to give to him a particular ability to be able to see that which is not cannot be seen by these eyes. Sanjaya said, O king, speaking thus, the Supreme, the Lord of all mystic power, the personality of God, had displayed his universal form to Arjun. Mahayogeshwaro Hari. Mahayogeshwara, the most powerful mystic Hari or Krishna, displayed Paramam Rupam, his supreme divine form. Arjun saw in that universal form unlimited mouths and unlimited eyes. It was all wondrous. The form was decorated with divine, dazzling ornaments and arrayed in many garbs. He was garlanded gloriously, and there were many scents smeared all over his body. All was magnificent, all expanding, unlimited. This was seen by Arjun. If hundreds of thousands of suns rose up at once in the sky, there might resemble the effulgence of that supreme person in that universal form. At that time, Arjun could see in the universal form of the Lord the unlimited expansions of the universe, situated in one place, although divided into many, many thousands. So in other words, he was seeing all the cosmos, all situated within the form, this gigantic form that Krishna was showing him. Thus bewildered and astonished, his hair standing on end, Arjun began to pray with folded hands, offering obeisance to the Supreme Lord. Arjun said, "My dear Lord Krishna, I see assembled together in your body all the demigods and various other living entities. I see Brahma sitting on the lotus flower as well as Shiva and many sages and divine serpents. I see in your universal body many, many forms, bellies, mouths, eyes expanded without limit. There is no end, there is no beginning, and there is no middle to all of this. Your form, adorned with various crowns, clubs, and discs, is difficult to see because of its glaring effulgence, which is fiery and immeasurable like the sun. You are the supreme primal objective. You are the best in all the universes. You are inexhaustible and you are the oldest. You are the maintainer of religion, the eternal personality of Godhead." This is an important verse, and we'll take a moment with that. But for those of you that are new, yes, I can appreciate that this will seem rather fantastical. But if you've been following along for the first 10 chapters that we've been reading, and I encourage you to read it. In fact, if you like, I'll upload a copy of the PDF on the chat if you're interested. You can download it, read it on your own. Bhagavad Gita, as it is also available on Amazon Kindle, as well as hard copy, as well as on Apple Books, etc. So you're welcome to read it there. But what I would like to share with you is that before coming to this point, a tremendous philosophy has been taught, tremendous wisdom has been given. You know, if you sometimes come to a sci-fi movie or you come to some fantastic tale, it's pretty clear we're dealing with a fantastic tale of something. But when great wise people, when great learned scholars share with you something of this nature, you pause and consider, is this possible? And so those of you that are new to this, I ask you to consider, if you were face to face with that which is the source of all creation, what would you ask for evidence? And what would you expect to see? And how would it possibly be? Right? Because it's easy to be skeptical, but before you let your skepticism carry you away, investigate, read deeply, try and see what is here. Because it's extreme, the philosophy is so powerful, so daunting, that is like, okay, this is mind blowing. I have never read anything like this. That's how I felt when I first read it. And that was 40 years ago. So I was like, I can't get enough of it. Till today, every word has powerful meaning. So here I'll read to you the Sanskrit of what Arjun is saying. Tvam aksharam paramam. Aksharam, in this case, akshar actually means like the alphabets, the letters, but in this case it means, is a different meaning. Tvam aksharam paramam is you are inexhaustible, you are supreme. Veditya vyam, to be you are almost impossible to understand, right? You are Vishwasya of the universe. You are the supreme cause of the universe. And you are the maintainer of dharma. Shashvat dharma gopta, the maintainer of the eternal dharma. You know, the word for the word Hindu does not actually exist in all the Vedas. It is called Sanatan Dharma, the eternal dharma. And dharma, as I explained to you earlier, means the nature of a thing, right? The eternal nature of the living entity. That is the meaning of Sanatan Dharma. The eternal nature of the living entity, the eternal nature of the soul. Our dharma is to come in touch with the soul, to awaken the soul, and then to live from the soul. Right now we are living from our mind, our ego, our body. But the purpose of spirituality is to live from the soul. Why this dichotomy, one might ask? Why are we who are souls put into this body, into this world, in a world where there is so much suffering and pain? Two reasons. The first and most important of which, and probably this is I would say this is the one and only reason, choice. Choice. We have been given the choice to have anything, do anything, be anything, or Be yourself, your real self. Your real self, which you cannot even see. You cannot even see it. It is so microscopic. You cannot see it. But you can feel it. You can experience it. You can hear it. You can be filled with it. And you can emanate it. That you can do. But you cannot see it. It is hidden from sight. Why? So that you may have the illusion of being a human being. This is an alternate reality that we live in. This is the alternate reality. This is the virtual reality. So when you are here and you've experienced everything that the world has to offer, and when you've realized that it hasn't satisfied you, religion hasn't satisfied you, philosophy hasn't satisfied you, spirituality hasn't satisfied you, say, what more is there? Where will I find the answers? That's when you come here. And here we ask you, as I said earlier, don't believe anything. Because believing can make you can make a fool out of anyone who's believing something. Listen carefully and then test it, challenge it, test it, understand it through experience. To me, the reason I believe this stuff is not because it's in a book, not because it's Krishna, not because it's thousands of years old, not because of any of that, not because I was born in India and it happened. None. There's no connection with that. It is because it works. Because I've seen it work. That's the one and only reason. So he says, you are the maintainer of dharma and the Sanatanastam Purusha Matomi. Sanatan is eternal. Purusha, you're the eternal person, according to me. Mataha me. You are the origin without beginning, middle, or end. Anadi Madhyantam Ananta Viryam. Anadi means that which is without a beginning. Madhyantam, that is the middle. And Ananta, the end of all that exists. Ananta Bahum Shashi Surya Netram. You have numberless arms, and the sun and the moon are among your great unlimited eyes. By your own radiance, you are heating this entire universe. Although you are one, you are spread throughout the sky and the planets and all space between. O Great One, as I behold this terrible form, I see that all planetary systems are perplexed. All the demigods are surrendering and entering into you. They are very much afraid, and with folded hands they are singing the Vedic hymns. So a lot of people here in the West, and also a lot of people in India, have been introduced to the idea of demigods. Demigods are like Ganesh and Durga and many others, Brahma. Shiva is in a whole separate category, neither God neither the supreme being nor a demigod. He is in a uniquely powerful and incredible category. However, there are many demigods, and in fact, in India, they say the Vedas actually claim that there are 33 million demigods. Now, these demigods are not God; they are not the supreme being. Although the Vedic system, the Sanatan Dharma, is polytheistic on one hand, it is also monotheistic simultaneously, and it is pantheistic simultaneously, and it is in fact all of these together. Polytheistic because there are many demigods, but they are not the supreme God. The supreme God is only one, therefore monotheistic. Pantheistic because that God is present also within all of the creation. His energy is present everywhere, and therefore he exists within everything, and also within everyone. So these demigods, he says, they are very much afraid, and with folded hands they are singing the Vedic hymns. They have come to bow down before having seen this universal form of Krishna. The different manifestations of Lord Shiva, the Adityas, the Vasus, the Sadhyas, the Vishwadevas, the two Ashwinis, the Maruts, the forefathers, the Gandharvas, the Yakshas, Asuras, and all perfected demigods are beholding you in wonder. O mighty armed one, all the planets with their demigods are disturbed at seeing your many faces, arms, bellies, and legs, and your terrible teeth as they are disturbed, so am I. O all pervading Vishnu, I can no longer maintain my equilibrium. Seeing your radiant colors fill the skies and beholding your eyes and mouths, I am afraid. O Lord of Lords, O refuge of the worlds, please be gracious to me. I cannot keep my balance, seeing thus your blazing, death like faces and awful teeth. In all directions I am bewildered. All the sons of Dhritarashtra, along with their allied kings and Bhishma, Drona, and Karna, and all our soldiers are rushing into your mouths, their heads smashed by your fearful teeth. I see that some are being crushed between your teeth as well. As the rivers flow into the sea, so also these great warriors enter your blazing mouths and perish. I see all people rushing with full speed into your mouths as moths dash into a blazing fire. O Vishnu, I see you devouring all people in your flaming mouths and covering the universe with your immeasurable rays, scorching the worlds you are manifest. Lord of Lords, so fierce a form, please tell me who you are. I offer my obeisance unto you. Please be gracious to me. I do not know what your mission is, and I desire to hear of it. So that is Arjun up till now. It's a lot I've read to you. Maybe I'll hold off the rest till later. What do you say? Any questions so far? Because we're coming to the end of our hour, and I'd like to just take up your questions. There's a beautiful verse that is going to come up next week. First thing. All right, I'll read it to you now, and I'll read it to you again next time. How's that? Krishna says, Time I am destroyer of the worlds, and I have come to engage all people, with the exception of you, the Pandavas, that is Arjuna and his brothers. All the soldiers here on both sides will be slain. So Krishna was showing him a vision of the future, of what was about to happen in this battle. He was showing him the future. But the most important words he says is Kala Asmi Lokakshaya. I am Kal, I am time. Time I am destroyer of the world. So time, if you think about it, is the most powerful force in the universe. Time destroys everything. Right? This body came about at a certain point in time, will be lost at a certain point in time. Everything you have will be lost at a certain point in time. Nothing survives time, the ravages of time. We'll continue that conversation later. But for now, do any of you have any questions? I'd love to be able to hear from you. There's been a lot. It's been a very intense reading today. Mm-hmm. Hi, who's this? I don't see your name. Could you put on your video? Hey, hi. Tell us your name again. Milan, yes. Hi. It's a great idea. Why don't we start it? I love your inspiration. Um, let's do it. All right. Yes, they do. Maybe we should start like 15 minutes earlier. How does that sound? Quarter to seven. We'll start at quarter to seven. We'll do a 15 to 20-minute meditation and then we'll begin. Fantastic. I love your idea. Milan, thank you. I get inspired in the moment. Let's do it. All right. Anyone else? Rima, Gabriel, sure. Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Yes. 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 Um, okay. It's very confusing, I understand, firstly. Okay. Because Krishna is listed amongst the 10 avatars of Vishnu. So, on the Das avatar, he is mentioned there. But very interestingly, he is mentioned in a very different way. When they mention the 10 avatars of Vishnu, when it comes to Krishna, they say Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Swayam means himself. Okay? Bhagavan refers to the supreme being or the original Godhead, the supreme being. So, although all of them are manifestations of Vishnu, Krishna is considered Bhagavan. Now, why is Krishna, according to some people, considered the highest of all? That is because Krishna, when you get into the depth of Krishna, right now he's showing this universal form, very big, very magnificent, very scary, all of this stuff, right? But this is not the real Krishna. You'll see Arjun will tell him in a few moments, please, 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 I've had enough of this. Can you please be the way you were? I love my dear friend. Please come back to me as my friend. The one thing that distinguishes Krishna from all the other avatars can be said in one word: love. And what kind of love? Intimate love. There is no, you see, with Ram, with Vishnu, with any of the other avatars of Vishnu, there is a great formality. God is great, we are small. Every church you go, in every mosque you go, in every temple you go, you bow down before God, right? But with Krishna, this is no longer there. The formality is dropped. The born again Christians, yeah, the born again Christians do talk about, absolutely, they talk about relationship, but they don't go this far. They do talk of relationship. That relationship, they will even suggest a relationship of parent and child, that they all suggest. I mean, the God is the Father. In some places in the Bible, there is even suggestion of God as your husband. There is even that suggestion. But what that, right, exactly. But there is no real demonstration of what that would look like. In the stories of Krishna, there is a full fledged description of what that looks like. How Krishna is with his friends, right? His friends are climbing on his shoulders, stealing his lunch. They're going out on picnics. They're playing games. They're imitating the peacocks. They're being silly. Then there are the girls, and they're in love with him. And he's romancing them and dancing with them and kissing them. And these things nobody wants to hear. Oh my God, an intimate relationship with God? That's sacrilegious. How dare you? People don't even want to hear that Krishna and Radha are in an unmarried conjugal relationship, a romantic relationship. They don't want to hear that. Those who have this formal notion of God, right? So he's showing you that there is a whole different realm of relating with God, right? And you can go deeper and deeper and deeper. The Sufis also talk about this. You brought up Christians. Sufis talk about it too. They talk of God as the beloved. They talk of God as feminine. I guess most of them were males, so they saw God as feminine. But however they saw God, there's this romance going on with God. To come out of the parda, to come out of the veil that he's hidden behind, and show yourself to me. Why are you hiding behind your veil? So they tease God, and they playfully incite God. Come before me. Let me see you. Those beautiful eyes of yours, this beautiful smile of yours, like that. So, but in Krishna Leela, you will see it goes all the way to the point of complete intimacy, and it is there that you begin to understand. Okay, so this is what it looks like to be with God. It's not just about being in the heavens in some place playing a harp, some angels singing. There is a real, when you talk of relationship, we're talking about real relationship. Parent. What's it, Milan? Right. Milan, Milan, there is nothing wrong in doing that, provided all of them know what you're doing, and provided all of them agree to what you're doing, and provided all of them have the same rights as you do. How's that for fairness? All right. So now if you can't handle it, you see the problem is you do not have the levels of detachment that he has, nor do you have the level of awareness that he has. You see your girlfriend with somebody else, you're going to go crazy. Your girlfriend sees you with someone else, she's going to go crazy. That's why, because it is known how crazy human beings are, these systems have been created here to keep us in check and balance. All right. So all right, guys, I need to end over here. I've got another meetup I'm starting in a few minutes. So I look forward to seeing you again next week. Please come again. I'll be here. If some of you, Lalit and do not, if I could get your email address, you can send me a private message on chat. I'd like to copy it down so that we can put you on the mailing list. And also, what was the other person's name here? Someone she was new here. Nadi, if you could also put your email here, if you want to be notified for the next week as well, just to be reminded, then go ahead and put down your email address in the chat, and I will get back to you. I'll put you on the mailing list to remind you. Tuesday, 7 o'clock. Well, we might even start at 6:45 now to do a meditation and to do a longer meditation. Right? I'll see you guys next week. Take care. Good night. Yeah. Thanks, Lalit. I got yours. Thanks, Srinivas. Oh, I kept calling you Lalita. All right, you're Srinivas.